It begins in a small desert town at night, a Tesla driver sitting alone in his car. Nearby, a camper had parked for the night. The entire area was completely silent. Then, without warning, the car's system started detecting people around him, even though no one was visible outside. At first, it seemed like a simple glitch, but then he saw it. A pair of glowing eyes staring from the darkness ahead. No body. No figure. Just eyes, yet the car's sensors showed a person standing in that exact same spot. The precision was impossible to dismiss. It was as if something unseen was being detected by the system. The driver didn't wait to find out what it was. He left fast, and he's not alone. Other Tesla drivers have reported the same thing, sensors triggering, and phantom figures appearing where nothing should exist. Some recordings even capture brief flashes of light with no explainable source. So here's the question. If your car detected someone standing in the dark, but you couldn't see them, would you stay or drive away? He shared pictures taken during a trip to an old mine shaft about 70 meters from the nearest town. The area was quiet and completely isolated, surrounded by dry land and distant hills. A camper traveling through the region had joined the trip, documenting the entire visit through photos. At the time, nothing unusual was noticed in any of the images. Everything appeared completely ordinary. No sign of anything out of place. But then, while reviewing the pictures later, they saw it. A shape standing on a nearby hill. Faint, but clearly there. It appeared to resemble a human figure upright, still, and completely separate from the surrounding landscape. Some viewers believed it looked like a cowboy. Others weren't so sure. The camper who took the photo could not remember seeing anyone standing there at the time. Explanations started to surface. A rock, a cactus, a bird, a trick of perspective. But no other photos from that same spot were ever shared to confirm what was captured. The image remains unclear, and the figure remains without a definite explanation. So here's the question. If you found something like that hidden in the background of your own photo, would you be able to ignore it? It begins in Chile, late at night, where a stray dog can be seen walking calmly near a quiet restaurant. A camper passing through the area had also noticed how still the street was as the camera recorded the moment. At first, everything appears completely normal, the animal moving in a slow, natural way. Nothing about the scene suggests anything unusual. But then, just seconds later, something strange begins to happen. The dog's shape starts to shift. Its form changes in a way that doesn't match any natural movement. Gradually, it appears to transform into something more human-like, leaving the moment nearly impossible to understand. The transition is unclear, almost distorted, making it hard to tell exactly what is being seen. Viewers online have shared different theories. Some believe it could be something paranormal. Some others suggest it might be an illusion or simply a camera trick. No clear explanation has ever been confirmed, and the video remains open to interpretation. So here's the question. If you saw something change like that right in front of you, would you try to explain it or look away? The group of young girls testing a camcorder they had just received as a Christmas gift. A nearby camper had suggested the tunnel as an interesting place to record. The area was quiet and dim, with echoes carrying through the narrow space as they started filming. At first, it felt like a simple and playful moment, but then, while still recording, one of the girls suddenly became frightened. She had noticed something deeper inside the tunnel. Her reaction was instant, and she stepped back as if she had seen something clearly.
You see on the camera? Oh, yeah. Get me up right now. Get me up right now. No, let's get me up. Get me up. No, there's something else. I'm fucking kidding. I've got my entire life. Watch back the thing. Watch back the thing. Watch back the thing. I swear to God. No, it wasn't.
The camera, however, failed to capture it in any way that could be easily understood. Whatever was there remained completely unclear, leaving only her reaction as the strongest clue. The footage ends without ever revealing what she saw. Viewers are left watching closely, trying to spot what might have been hiding in the shadows. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes it so unsettling. So here's the question. If you were standing there and saw something the camera couldn't capture, would you trust your eyes? It begins in July 2021, when a man and his girlfriend were hiking along the Lover's Lane Trail in Olympic National Park near the Sol Duc River. A camper staying in the area had also been exploring nearby trails that same day. The surroundings were calm and natural, nothing out of the ordinary at first. But then, while enjoying the hike, they noticed something unusual in the distance. A dark figure, standing far away, too far to approach. After watching it briefly, they assumed it might just be a fallen tree or a shadow blending into the environment. Later that day, the man reviewed the photo he had taken and decided to run it through Google's image search. The result caught him completely off guard. The system suggested the image resembled a blurry figure, one commonly associated with Bigfoot. Curious, he shared the photo online to hear what others thought. Most viewers weren't convinced. They pointed out that the shape lacked any clear features and could easily be explained by distance, lighting, or natural objects blending together. Some called it a classic case of pareidolia, where the mind interprets vague shapes as something familiar. In the end, the image remained open to interpretation. No clear conclusion, no definite answer. So here's the question. If you saw something far away that didn't quite make sense, would you accept the explanation? Or keep wondering? Before we go any further, I'd like to ask you for a quick favor. If you are enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We're getting closer to 30,000 subscribers, and once we hit that milestone, a few lucky subscribers will receive a special surprise. Now let's go back to the video. It begins in Ecuador's endangered Chaco rainforest, where a lone camper had set up for the night beneath dense, shadowed trees. Hoping to document the sounds of the forest, he kept his camera running near his camp as the light faded. The area is known for its immense biodiversity, much of it still unexplored and poorly understood. But what his camera captured that night was something few had ever seen before. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than moss clinging to a branch. Then, the shape began to shift, almost imperceptibly, revealing thin extensions that resembled legs. The creature blended so perfectly into its surroundings that its outline was difficult to follow, even while moving. Biologists who later viewed the clip noted similarities to stick insects, but its texture and form appeared far more complex. What unsettled viewers most was this. It remained completely still every time the camera adjusted. as if it knew it was being watched. The camper slowly backed away, keeping his camera fixed on the branch until the figure seemed to merge once again with the moss. By morning, he returned to the same spot. Nothing remained, not even a trace of disturbance. The footage ends without explanation, leaving only questions about what might still be hidden in that forest. So here's the question. If something can stay perfectly concealed just a few feet from where you rest, would you ever truly know what's around you? Inside an abandoned hospital once used for tuberculosis patients. Late at night, a small group of friends, including a camper who often explored isolated places, entered the building to film their surroundings. The halls were empty, the walls worn, and the silence carried a weight that felt older than the structure itself. As the camera moved slowly through a dim corridor, nothing unusual appeared at first. But within seconds, something crossed directly in front of the lens. The movement was quick, almost too fast to process in real time. But the camper filming claimed she saw it clearly as it passed.
What the fuck was that? Did you hear that noise? So Mike just went right in front of my camera and blocked it. Did you take a video? I'm actually videoing it. Yeah, I need to have a pee, but I'm too scared to. Man, just have a pee. Right, make yourself up.
I'll slow it down, I'm hearing voices from there.
There's something around that corner. We were at the other side. I'm gonna pee here then.
None of the others noticed anything, until they reviewed the footage later and slowed it down. In those frames, a faint figure appeared. Tall, draped, shaped in a way that resembled traditional clothing, almost like a nun's habit. What made it truly unsettling was not just the form, but the way it moved with purpose, as if fully aware of the camera's position. Records of the hospital mention no nuns, only a sister, a title given to a senior nurse, leaving the figure without any clear explanation. The group left shortly after, unsettled but unable to fully understand what they had captured. The footage ends abruptly, with no further sightings and no clear answer as to what moved through that hallway. Whatever passed in front of that camera did so silently, leaving only a brief trace behind. It begins during a quiet neighborhood night watch in a small residential area. A few locals, including a camper who often stayed overnight in nearby open fields, were making their usual rounds under dim street lights. The roads were empty, with only the sound of insects and soft footsteps filling the silence. As they passed near a waste disposal area, one of them casually turned on a camera to record the surroundings. At first, everything appeared completely normal, but then just beyond the reach of the light, a figure slowly became visible. A woman, dressed in red, long hair falling straight down, standing near a pile of discarded waste. She did not move, did not react, made no sound. What unsettled them most was the stillness, as if she had been standing there long before they arrived. The camper filming quietly adjusted the camera. The figure remained unchanged, distant, but clearly there. Moments later, they chose not to approach. They kept walking, leaving the figure behind without a word. When they looked back, the area seemed empty again, as though nothing had ever been there. Since that night, those who pass by say the place feels different after dark, quieter in a way that's hard to explain. The footage ends without answers, holding on to that single moment of uncertainty. So here's the question. If you were the one walking that road at night and saw her standing there, would you dare to get closer? It begins during a hike on one of Colorado's 14ers, where the user captured a photo near the mountain peak. A camper traveling through the area had also stopped nearby, taking in the quiet surroundings. At the time, nothing unusual was noticed. The moment felt completely ordinary. The sky was open, the air still, and the landscape unchanged. But later, while driving away, The user looked back at the photo and noticed something unexpected. In the clouds on the right side of the mountain, a strange shape had formed. It appeared to resemble a human face, faint, but distinct enough to stand out. The image was shared online and quickly drew attention from many viewers. Most people believed it was simply a natural cloud formation. Others pointed to pareidolia, the tendency of the mind to find familiar shapes in randomness, likely just a coincidence, with no explanation beyond perception. But still, the shape was there. So here's the question. If a face appeared in the sky when you weren't looking, would you ever see that place the same way again? A man driving through a wooded area at night, a place he wasn't familiar with. The road was quiet, surrounded by dark trees, with no signs of movement anywhere around him. Then, something by the roadside caught his attention. Without fully understanding why, he slowed down. A human-shaped figure stood near the road, wrapped entirely in white cloth, completely still, facing toward the road. No movement, no reaction. The stillness made the driver assume it might be a prop, something placed there intentionally. But the way it stood silent and unmoving made it impossible to ignore. In the comments, some suggested that figures like this are sometimes used to scare animals or warn strangers, similar to scarecrows or trail markers. But without any clear explanation, the sight felt deeply unsettling, almost as if it were a real person, just standing there, waiting. So here's the question. If you were driving alone at night and saw something like that by the road, would you stop or keep going? It begins with a Reddit user reviewing photos taken at an abandoned gold dredge in a remote area. A camper exploring the site had been capturing images of the rusted structure and its surroundings, nothing unusual noticed at the time. The place felt quiet, still, and undisturbed, like many forgotten locations. It wasn't until later, while going through the photos, that something unexpected appeared. On the left side of one image, a strange shape, something that looked like a face. It wasn't visible during the moment the photo was taken. None of the other images showed anything similar. No reflections, no dust particles, no obvious explanation for what appeared in that single frame. The user admitted it stood out enough to share. Viewers were asked to zoom in, and many saw the same unsettling detail. Some believed it was just a trick of light or shadow. Others weren't so sure. The image remains unexplained. No clear reason why it appeared in only one photo. So here's the question. If you found a face staring back from a place you thought was empty, would you brush it off or look closer? It begins in rural Sweden, where a woman's mother had stepped outside late at night to watch the northern lights. A camper staying nearby had also come out to witness the glowing sky. The area was isolated far from any town, with no footpaths or signs of people anywhere around. As the aurora lit up the sky, she decided to take a photo, capturing what first appeared to be a beautiful and peaceful moment. But when they looked closer, something unsettling appeared. Beneath the glowing aurora, a dark, human-shaped figure could be seen standing in the frame. What made it more disturbing was the distance. The photo wasn't zoomed in. Whatever was there had been just 1 or 2 meters away, close enough to be clearly visible in real life. Yet no one had seen anything at the time the picture was taken. The image was later shared on Reddit, where viewers debated what it could be, offering different explanations, but reaching no clear answer. No nearby paths, no reason for anyone to be there in the middle of the night. The moment remains completely unexplained, leaving only that single image behind. S/O. Here's the question. If something stood that close to you in the dark, and you never saw it, would you believe the photo or your own memory? It begins with a user named Phantom Freak Official, who shared trail camera footage recorded deep in the woods at night. A camper had placed the camera in the area, hoping to capture wildlife activity. The clip was discovered the next day while reviewing the recordings. At first, everything seemed completely routine. Nothing unusual expected from the footage. But then, in one segment, a figure appears, moving across the frame in a smooth, almost unnatural way. Its motion doesn't match any typical animal behavior. Its faint presence makes it difficult to clearly identify. The way it glides through the scene without any visible effort, without any sound, is what unsettles viewers most. It doesn't react to anything around it, as if it exists completely separately from the environment. After the clip spread online, different theories began to emerge. Some believe it could be a ghost, based on its faint appearance and fluid movement. Others suggest it might be a cryptid connected to forest folklore. And there are those who think it could simply be a glitch in the recording. With no clear explanation, the footage remains open to interpretation. So here's the question. If you saw something move like that in the dark, would you try to explain it? Or just walk away? This is exactly why people say never go into the forest alone after dark. What started as a quiet solo hike quickly turned into something far more disturbing. The creator was calmly filming the trail ahead when they began to feel it, that strange sensation of being watched. At first, it was just small sounds, leaves shifting, faint steps off the path. But every time they turned the camera toward the trees, nothing was there. Then it happened.
Yep. I gotta get down. I can't go home. Please, I'm leaving. What is that? Fuck is it? Dude, no! It looks like a person, man. But no person. It looks like a fucking person.
Deep between the trunks, something moved. Not clearly, not fully visible. Just a shape slipping from one tree to another. The way it moved wasn't normal walking. It was controlled, smooth, always staying just out of clear view, almost like it didn't want its face seen. The creator's breathing changes in the footage. You can hear the fear building as they realize, whatever it is, it's pacing them. We're analyzing the full clip frame by frame to study the movement patterns and figure out what was actually in those shadows. I track some of the most unexplainable encounters from around the world, and clips like this don't show up twice. So if you saw something following you in the dark that refused to fully reveal itself, would you stop and confront it, or pretend you never saw it at all? It was filmed using a Sony Handycam TRV-36 Hi8, and the footage looks old grainy like something straight from the early 2000s. The video shows an empty playground at night. No kids, no wind, just the faint hum and static of the camera capturing the dark, quiet scene. Shadows stretch across the ground, and the tall yellow slide stands alone, almost glowing in the weak light. The camera slowly moves toward the slide. At first, everything seems normal. The ladder, the platform, the dark tunnel at the top. Then something appears. From inside the slide, a solid white object begins to descend. Slowly. Not sliding like a person, not tumbling, just moving steadily down the enclosed tunnel. It doesn't look like clothing. It doesn't look like a child. Just a featureless white form gliding closer and closer. The person holding the camera doesn't speak. You can hear their breathing quicken as the object nears the bottom. And just as it's about to come out, the camera abruptly shuts off. No scream, no explanation, just darkness. So if you were there, holding a camera, and saw something like that sliding toward you, would you stay to see what comes out, or run before it reaches the bottom? In the middle of a dark forest, a horror content creator walks slowly along a damp dirt path, lit only by his camera's flashlight. The sound of insects fills the air, and tall trees block out the moonlight. He speaks softly to the camera, trying to stay calm. Then suddenly, he stops. Because standing right in the middle of the trail is a white figure wrapped from head to toe, completely still. Facing him, for a few seconds he doesn't move. Neither does the figure. He tries to convince himself it's just cloth caught on a branch. But then, without warning, the figure jumps backward, not turning around, not making a sound. It glides several meters back in one unnatural motion, still facing the camera the entire time. His breathing gets heavier. His hand starts shaking. He slowly steps back, and the flashlight beam shifts for just a second. And when it centers again, the white figure is gone. No footsteps, no sound, nothing. So if you were alone in that forest and saw something move like that, would you chase it to prove it's fake, or run without ever looking back? A group of hikers trekking through the mountains of Virginia were relaxing at the top of a rocky ridge, enjoying the view and catching their breath. The camera shows them laughing, sitting near the edge. Then, a low rumbling sound starts beneath them. At first they think it's just an animal moving inside a cave under the rocks. Maybe a bear, maybe loose stones shifting. The sound grows louder. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar explodes from below. Not a normal animal sound. This was deep, violent. It echoed through the mountain like something massive was trying to claw its way out from inside it. The ground beneath them begins to shift. Small rocks break loose and start sliding down the slope. One hiker loses footing and nearly slips off the edge. And if it wasn't for another member grabbing him at the last second, he would have fallen straight down the mountainside. The video cuts as the group scrambles away from the ridge, the roar still echoing behind them. Some believe it was a rock slide. Others are convinced it was something far bigger, something territorial. So what do you think was beneath that mountain? A natural collapse, or something like Bigfoot defending its ground? A farmer in rural Mexico began noticing something strange. His field caretakers refused to go out at night. They seemed nervous, distracted, constantly making excuses. When he demanded answers, they stayed quiet. Until one day, after he threatened to fire them, they finally told him the truth. The man claimed he had seen a woman standing alone among the crops before sunrise. At first, he thought she was a trespasser and went to confront her. But when she slowly turned toward him, her face wasn't normal. Hollowed eyes, sunken cheeks, skin stretched tight over bone. And when she opened her mouth to scream, she had a forked tongue. After that, he remembered nothing. The farmer didn't believe in ghost stories, so he decided to patrol the farm himself at night. On the second night, while recording, he captured something standing between the rows. A tall, thin figure, barely visible in the dark. The video ends just as it begins to move toward him. So what do you think is walking through those fields after midnight? A frightened imagination? Or something that was never human to begin with? In Sungai Undang, residents captured a massive crocodile after days of tense surveillance. The reptile was estimated to be nearly 7 meters long and weigh around 1 ton. Locals say the predator had been lurking near the riverbanks, creating fear throughout the community. With no advanced equipment, the villagers used simple tools, bait, ropes, and heavy pieces of wood to trap it. The operation was extremely dangerous. One wrong move could have cost someone their life.
Allahu Akbar! Besarnya! Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Astagfirullahaladzim! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar ya Allah! Allahu Akbar! Tembak! Muntah! Ikat pelampung tu pelampung ikat! Pelampung! Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Awas pan. Tali kampung.
The struggle to restrain and drag the giant reptile onto land was filled with high tension. But somehow, no injuries were reported. Once secured, officials evacuated the crocodile to be handled by BKSDA Real for proper management. But seeing a creature that large pulled from the same waters people use every day raises a chilling thought. If one giant was hiding there all along, how many more are still beneath the surface? A video from 2006 shows a disturbing humanoid figure that many people connect to the urban legend known as the rake, sometimes called the monstruo rastrillo.
La última batería com queda. Hòstia, tio, és que és per flipar, eh?
Fota-li
Que sí, collons, que sí. Hòstia. Escolta. Ho sents o no? Va, corre, hòstia, va!
The footage is low-quality shaky, like it was never meant to capture something clearly. In the clip, a pale, thin figure appears crouched near the edge of a wooded area at night. Its limbs look unnaturally long, its posture wrong, almost animal-like. For a few seconds, it doesn't move. Then suddenly, it shifts forward in a jerky motion. Not walking normally, but crawling, low to the ground. The person filming starts breathing heavily, the camera struggling to focus in the darkness. The figure seems to notice the camera and tilts its head slightly, as if studying the person watching it. The video ends abruptly, cutting to black without explanation. No official source ever confirmed what was captured that night. Some say it was staged. Others believe it was something never meant to be seen. But if you were alone and saw a pale figure like that crawling toward you in the dark, would you stay and record, or drop the camera and run? A fisherman in Indonesia captured something strange on the surface of a quiet river. At first, it looked like a small disturbance in the water, but within seconds, it formed into a visible vortex, spinning tightly, cutting through the calm surface. What made it unsettling was the way it moved. It didn't just spin in place, it traveled, rapidly, heading straight toward the shore, as if something underneath was guiding it. The fisherman can be heard breathing nervously as the swirling water approaches land. There was no boat nearby, no visible object beneath the surface, no storm, no strong wind. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, the vortex vanished. The water went still, like nothing had ever happened. Some believe it was caused by underwater groundwater movement, or gas escaping from beneath the riverbed. Others say it could be a rare natural phenomenon science doesn't fully understand yet. And of course, there are those who think it may be something far less ordinary. With so many unexplained anomalies being reported around the world lately, you have to wonder if the water beside you suddenly started moving with purpose. Would you assume it's nature or something else entirely? That night, the sky looked completely normal. Dark, calm, silent, and then, out of nowhere, a ball of fire appeared in the sky. It didn't streak across like a shooting star. It didn't flash and disappear. It hovered, glowing bright, moving slowly and steadily, almost controlled.
Apa emang?
Apa ini nih? Nggak mati-mati nih ya?
Apa banaspati itu emangnya? Hah?
Hantu, Jan.
Oh iya bang.
Wih, nggak mati-mati dia.
Oh iya bang. Iya tuh bang. Oh iya tuh.
Apa ini ya?
The person filming can be heard whispering in disbelief as the fiery orb drifts across the darkness. Its light stays consistent. No sparks falling, no explosion. Just a stable, floating flame suspended in the air. It doesn't behave like typical space debris. Doesn't look random. It moves with strange calmness before slowly fading from view. Some say it was a rare natural phenomenon. Others choose to stay quiet, unsure of what they witnessed. But the camera clearly captured the moment the night sky revealed something unusual. So, if you looked up and saw a glowing ball of fire hovering silently above you, would you assume it's science or something we still don't understand? Late one night, a couple of security guards noticed something strange across the street. At first, it was just a dark shape moving under a dim streetlight. But the longer they stared, the more wrong it felt. One guard immediately pulled out his phone to record, while the other slowly walked toward the exact spot where the figure had been seen. The street was quiet. No cars, no wind, just tension in the air.
Right now, you guys ain't believe me, but by the fire hydrant, I seen somebody walk by and they disappeared by the tree. I know you think I'm fucking crazy. ¿Viste, güey? Iba pasando, someone was walking by, bro, and they just disappeared when they got by the tree.
Un guardia de seguridad se dirige al lugar donde su compañero
I'm serious,
asegura que
man.
vio algo.
There was a lady walking. ¿Qué pasó, güey? Oh, güey, mira. Ahí va saliendo. What the fuck? Mira. What the hell? Salió de un hoyo, güey, no mames. Mira. Ahí va. What the fuck?
According to them, the dark figure was clearly walking along the road, not running, not floating, just walking. And then it suddenly vanished, not turned a corner, not ducked behind a car, just disappeared. When the guard reached the spot seconds later, there was no one there. Empty pavement, empty sidewalk, nothing. They were about to brush it off. When moments later, the dark figure appeared again further down the street. Same shape, same slow movement. Some believe it could be a witch. Others think it might be something else entirely. So, if you saw a shadow walking at night that vanished right in front of you, would you assume it's your eyes playing tricks or something watching from the dark? Off the coast of Vancouver, a strange light suddenly appeared in the sky. The video was recorded from a boat when a bright horizontal line cut across the clouds. It moved steadily, kept a constant intensity, and then vanished without a trace. No defined object, no sound, no flashes of lightning, just a mysterious glow hovering above the water. Some say it could be a rare atmospheric phenomenon. Others speculate it's unidentified technology. The video is shared exactly as it was captured. No edits, no filters, no effects. Nothing was added, nothing removed. So if you were on that boat and saw a bright line silently slicing through the clouds, would you try to follow it or watch quietly, wondering what else might be out there? Have you ever watched a thunderstorm where the lightning flashes so fast the sky barely has time to go dark? It almost feels unreal, like the clouds are flickering instead of striking. That kind of non-stop lightning usually isn't random. It's a sign that something powerful is happening inside the storm. One major reason for this is something called convective available potential energy, or CAPE. The CAPE measures how unstable the atmosphere is and how much energy rising warm air contains.
What does that mean?
It's heat lightning. That's what Thomas was. I really don't know what that means.
Oh, I saw something over there.
But for people that haven't seen it, it's crazy.
I mean, I don't think.
That's her name.
Where?
Over there, on the right. It looks like a Bono or something.
Holy shit!
When warm air rises and stays warmer than the air around it, it keeps accelerating upward. The higher the CAPE value measured in joules per kilogram, the stronger those updrafts become. And in storms with very high CAPE, those intense updrafts separate electrical charges inside the cloud much faster. Energy builds quickly. The electric field breaks down repeatedly, and lightning fires again and again, sometimes multiple times per second. So when you see the sky flashing non-stop, you're witnessing a storm packed with extreme instability and power. The real question is, if it's generating that much energy above you, how much stronger could it still become? In the remote rivers of southern and central Thailand, massive freshwater crocodiles lurk beneath the surface. The most feared is the Siamese crocodile, which can grow over 13 feet long. In recent years, small boats carrying fishermen and wood have reportedly been attacked or even destroyed when these crocodiles defended their territory. Experts warn that murky water, strong currents, and thick mangroves make these rivers extremely dangerous, especially at night. You can't see what's beneath you. Officials advise avoiding remote waterways after dark, staying away from riverbanks where crocodiles are known to rest, and never trying to feed or approach them. Thailand's rivers are beautiful, but beauty can hide danger. So if your small boat suddenly rocked in the middle of a silent, muddy river, would you assume it's just the current or something rising from below? It was filmed at night on what appears to be the historic grounds of Gettysburg battlefield, a place forever tied to the bloodshed of the American Civil War. The camera slowly pans across a silent row of old cannons, sitting exactly where soldiers once stood. The air looks still, heavy, and then something moves. Out of nowhere, a translucent figure sprints across the grass, not floating, not drifting, running, fast. Its movement is unmistakably human arms pumping, legs driving forward, weaving between the artillery pieces, as if caught in the middle of battle. The form is semi-transparent, mist-like, and you can clearly see the cannons through its body as it races past. Within seconds, it disappears into the darkness beyond the frame. Paranormal researchers often describe this kind of sighting as a residual haunting, a moment from the past replaying itself, like an imprint burned into the land. No interaction, no awareness, just energy repeating what once happened there. If that battlefield truly holds echoes of history, how many other soldiers might still be running through the night, unseen until the camera happens to catch them? Late at night, in the middle of a dense forest, a lone hiker heard the unmistakable sound of a woman crying. At first it was faint, almost carried by the wind, but it grew louder, echoing between the trees. Curiosity and a sense of dread made him follow the sound. As he pushed through the underbrush, branches snapping underfoot, the cries led him to a small clearing. And there it was.
Cabrón, ¿qué se escuchó? ¿Quién anda ahí?
¿Todo bien?
Es alguien, es bueno.
¿Todo bien? ¡Arre!
Imagínate que vas corriendo y te encuentras con esta silla y que de repente se voltee. ¡Ay!
An old wooden chair, rocking slowly on its own. No woman, no figure, just the chair, moving as if someone invisible was sitting there, sobbing into the night. The forest felt heavier, almost alive, as if it was watching him. He stepped back, heart pounding. The crying didn't stop. It seemed to come from the chair itself. And when he finally ran back toward the trail, the chair remained. Unmoving now, but somehow waiting. If you heard a woman crying in the middle of the forest at night, would you investigate or turn and never look back? On October 12th, 2023, police responded to an abandoned farmhouse outside Millfield after neighbors reported strange, unsettling sounds in the night. What they found was far beyond anything they expected. Behind the barn, a teenage girl crouched barefoot in the dirt, filthy, and rocking her body back and forth. Her eyes rolled upward until only the whites were visible, twitching unnaturally. In her hands was something dark and unrecognizable, and she was eating it. When officers approached, she tilted her head, smiled, and in a voice that didn't sound entirely human, whispered, "He's still hungry." The air around them turned icy, and her strength, though thin, was frighteningly unnatural. Inside the farmhouse, candles were melted into the floor, strange symbols carved into the walls, and a rocking chair swayed gently, as if moved by invisible hands. The girl was hospitalized, but she died 3 nights later during a sudden blackout. Doctors could find no cause. The farmhouse was sealed, yet locals say that on quiet nights, the humming behind the barn can still be heard. Could whatever haunted that girl in the farmhouse still be waiting there? In April 2022, Andrew Dawson, a young man from Canada, went to Whistler Peak with a simple plan, just some filming, a bit of exploration. But what he captured changed everything.
What is it? It's a person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over.
In his footage, a massive, humanoid figure loomed over the peak. At first, it seemed impossible, a trick of perspective, maybe a shadow. But the scale, the movement, it felt real. Soon after, Andrew claimed government agents warned him. He said he saw unidentified flying objects and filmed helicopters moving strangely, as if they were transporting the figure. The paranoia escalated. He vanished from social media, then returned, visibly shaken, insisting everything was part of a larger deception. Days later, he posted one final chilling message. "No one can force me to stay silent." And then, he was gone. At just 34 years old, Andrew died. No official cause was revealed. The footage remains online, grainy but undeniable, leaving viewers questioning what they saw. Helicopters, shadows, a giant on a mountaintop. Was it real? Or was Andrew silenced to make us believe it wasn't? If something that massive truly walked Whistler Peak, would you dare to climb there, knowing what might still be watching? High above the clouds on Mount Everest, past 8,000 meters, climbers enter a place known as the death zone. Up there, the air holds only a fraction of the oxygen your body needs. Every breath feels thin, so heavy. Temperatures plunge so low that exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Even standing still for too long can be fatal. In these conditions, When someone collapses, rescue is almost impossible. The terrain is steep, the weather shifts without warning, and attempting a recovery can cost more lives than it saves. So many who perish remain where they fall, slowly preserved by the ice and cold. Over time, some of these climbers have become grim landmarks along the main routes, passed year after year by those chasing the summit. Silent, unmoving, a stark reminder of what the mountain demands. Above 8,000 meters, your body is dying a little more with every step. Decisions become blurred. Simple tasks feel impossible, and turning back can feel harder than pushing forward. Everest doesn't attack you, it simply waits. And if the mountain is patient, the real question is, would you know when it's time to stop climbing? Imagine walking your dogs late at night, thinking it's just another quiet stroll, and then you see something crawling toward you. That's exactly what happened to 52-year-old Hannah Rowett and her husband Dave while walking through a park in the United Kingdom, a park locals already believe is haunted. It was late. The paths were empty, just the sound of their dogs moving ahead of them. Then, in the distance, they noticed a white shape low to the ground. At first, it didn't make sense. It wasn't walking, it wasn't standing. It was dragging itself. Slowly, along the park trail. The movement was unnatural, deliberate, almost aware of them. Now you can hear the hesitation in their voices as they try to process what they're seeing. The figure kept crawling forward under the dim park lights, pale against the darkness. No clear face, no clear explanation. Just something moving where nothing should be. In a place already whispered about as haunted. If you saw that shape dragging itself toward you in the middle of the night, would you stay and film it? Or would you run before it got any closer? Around 3:25 a.m., a quiet residential street is suddenly pierced by frantic barking dogs and an eerie siren-like sound that seems to come from nowhere. Through the darkness, a white figure darts between the shadows of trees and overgrown foliage. Its movements are swift, but unnatural, partially hidden, leaving only glimpses for the camera to capture. The handheld footage shakes as the figure passes, sometimes just a blur, sometimes a shape that looks almost human, yet disturbingly wrong. Witnesses argue over what it could be. Some whisper La Llorona, others insist it's a witch, or perhaps something entirely unknown. The more you watch, the more it seems like the night itself is alive, watching and reacting. Shadows twist, sounds amplify, and your imagination starts filling in the gaps. If you were standing there alone, watching something move like that in the dead of night, would you run or stay frozen and risk seeing it come closer? A man was driving alone through a wooded back road late in the evening when his headlights caught something standing in the middle of the road. At first, he thought it was just an animal, but as he slowed down and lifted his phone to record, he realized it didn't move like anything he'd ever seen before. The figure looked thin, uneven, almost distorted. It wasn't clearly a deer, not a dog, not anything familiar. It stood there for a second too long, reflecting the headlights in a strange way, before shifting awkwardly toward the trees. Its posture seemed wrong, like it was trying to imitate something it wasn't. The driver's breathing changes in the video. You can hear that moment when curiosity turns into fear. And then the figure slips back into the darkness of the forest. No clear tracks were found the next day. No reports of injured wildlife. Just one short clip of something that doesn't quite match any known animal. Was it a rare mutation? An undiscovered cryptid? Or simply the shadows playing tricks on the mind? And if you were driving that road alone at night, would you stop to film it? Or keep driving and never look back? Two friends were driving home late at night in Indonesia when they noticed a strange white shape floating in the distance. Curious, they decided to get closer, slowly steering toward it. As the figure came fully into view, their hearts sank. It was a pocong, moving in that unnervingly stiff, hopping way.
Arriba, esta lo grabas ahí. Hazme la pinche semana, ¿no?
Una pinche bruja.
Sí, ¿no?
Sí, la...
Mira.
Grábala.
La bruja va.
Ven, Con razón Jorge tenía miedo. ¿Dónde era Kira? ¿Viste, Jorge? ¿No viste, Juan?
Frozen with shock, they weren't sure whether to stop or keep driving. The figure seemed almost aware of them, silently following their car. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished from sight. They exhaled, thinking it had disappeared, until, in the blink of an eye, it reappeared directly in front of their vehicle, blocking their path. Panic set in. They swerved and sped away. The image burned into their minds. Some say pocong only appear to remind the living of the spirits that linger. But if you were driving alone at night and saw something like this appear in front of your car, would you dare to stop or keep going, hoping it disappears again? A quiet field in Canada. Nothing but tall grass swaying gently under an open sky. No people. No vehicles. No movement alarms triggered. Just a fixed surveillance camera recording like it always does. And then, something impossible happens. In real time, the crops begin to shift. Not randomly, not like normal wind. The plants bend in a smooth circular motion, as if an invisible force is pressing them down from above. Within seconds, a perfect crop circle forms. No shadows, no figures, no lights in the sky. And here's the strangest part. The camera's built in. Our eye motion detection system doesn't react. It doesn't flag a single thing as moving. It's as if whatever shaped that field wasn't there. No footsteps, no tire tracks, no human presence before or after. Just a clean, geometric pattern carved into the crops. Was it an undiscovered natural phenomenon? Advanced technology being tested in secret? Or something far beyond what we understand? If something can alter the physical world without ever being detected, what else could be happening that we simply can't see? The camera captured something that wasn't supposed to be there. A burial ground, completely silent. No wind, no people. And then, in the distance, a white figure standing between the graves. At first it looks like nothing. Maybe cloth, maybe fog. But then it moves. Slowly. Stiffly. The shape appears wrapped tight from head to toe, like a traditional burial shroud. It doesn't walk normally. It doesn't bend. It shifts forward in small, unnatural motions, almost as if its feet aren't stepping, just dragging or lifting together. The person filming doesn't speak at first. You can feel the hesitation, the disbelief. The camera zooms in slightly and the figure is still there, not fading, not changing, just standing in the open cemetery where no one else should be. There were no other visitors that night, no reports of anyone playing a prank, just a quiet graveyard and a shape that shouldn't exist. Was it a real apparition caught on camera, or just the perfect illusion created by darkness and fear? And if you were standing there alone, would you keep filming, or would you run before it started moving closer? A young boy, missing for 7 days in a dense, shadowy forest, suddenly reappeared. But something about him wasn't right. His eyes were empty, his movements slow and stiff, and the air around him felt heavy, as if the forest itself hadn't let him go. Even more disturbing, in his hands, He carried something that looked like a head wrapped in white cloth. Locals whispered that the forest claimed its own, that the boy had seen things no one should, things that lingered in the dark among the trees.
Apa itu? Apa? Warung apaan? Nggak ada warung situ.
Cep.
Zoom aja itu bukan itu. Coba lihat. Om lihat. Wah,
Cep. Astagfirullahaladzim. Astagfirullahaladzim. Cep.
Some said it was just a piece of fabric, but the way the wind moved and shadows danced made the footage feel alive, like something unseen was watching. So here's the question that chills everyone who sees this. Did the boy survive by chance, or did something in the forest allow him to return? For now. Early in the morning on a quiet beach in Mexico, a local resident walking along the shoreline noticed something unusual tangled in the sand. At first, it looked like debris washed in by the tide, but as he stepped closer, he realized it was the body of a creature, and it didn't resemble anything he recognized. The remains were disturbing. The skull appeared deformed, no visible eye sockets, and part of the cranial area looked exposed, almost as if a portion of the brain was missing. Its proportions didn't clearly match a dog, a seal, or any common marine life. The footage shows people cautiously circling it, unsure whether they were looking at a severely decomposed animal or something entirely unfamiliar. Within hours, images spread online, and theories began multiplying. Some claim it could be an undiscovered species unknown to science. Others suggest secret genetic experiments gone wrong, possibly involving a primate. But when you really examine the shape, does it even look like a monkey? Or is this simply what nature looks like when time and the ocean distort something beyond recognition? Two friends are standing halfway up a steep, forested hillside. One of them is recording, while the other looks out toward the trees, unaware of what's behind him. As the camera slowly moves toward his friend, something terrifying appears. A pale woman in white standing directly behind him. She doesn't move. She doesn't react. But the second the camera focuses on her, she completely disappears. The location is said to be connected to local folklore known as the Ugly Woman of the Haunted Mountain, making the moment even more disturbing. The hillside is thick with brush and strangely quiet. There's no audio in this version, which makes the footage feel even more intense. Moments after the figure vanishes, the two friends suddenly hear a strange sound coming from somewhere in the trees. Instead of running away, they decide to search for the source, carefully walking deeper into the silent forest. No one can explain the white figure. No one can explain the sound. So tell me, if you saw someone vanish behind your friend on a haunted mountain, would you stay and investigate, or leave before something unseen starts following you? A hunter standing deep in the woods began recording after hearing a terrifying sound echo through the trees. The noise was loud, sharp, and chilling, the kind that makes the forest suddenly feel smaller. At first, he tried to stay calm. It could have been a stag during rut season, maybe even an angry moose warning anything nearby to stay away. That would be the logical explanation. But the sound didn't fade like a normal animal call. It carried through the forest in a way that felt intentional. almost directed. It didn't seem random. It felt like something knew he was there, something watching from deeper in the woods, hidden just beyond sight. Some say it was simply wildlife doing what wildlife does. Others believe it could be something older, something territorial, something that doesn't welcome human visitors. Whatever made that sound, the message felt clear. Leave now, or face the consequences. So what do you think was really out there in those woods that day? The video begins during a family vacation in broad daylight. The children are outside playing near a line of thick bushes, and everything feels normal. Until the little boy suddenly runs to his father. He looks shaken. He says his sister is playing behind the bushes, but she isn't alone. He insists someone else is there with her, someone he doesn't recognize. As the father turns the camera toward his daughter, something chilling happens. From the shadow of the bushes, a long, pale hand slowly stretches out toward the girl, thin, unnatural, almost too still.
Hey, Dad, look at Carly!
Get up here, Carly! What the hell was that? The hell was that?
There's no body clearly visible, just the arm reaching from behind the leaves. Fear hits instantly. The father calls his daughter's name, his voice tense, and she quickly runs back to him. He wastes no time and walks straight toward the bushes, determined to confront whoever, or whatever, was hiding there. But when he pulls the branches aside, there's nothing. No footprints, no movement, no one standing there, on just silence in the daylight. The playful energy from moments before is completely gone, replaced by a heavy feeling in the air. So tell me, if something unseen reached out toward your child in the middle of the day, would you believe it was just your imagination, or something that was never meant to be seen? On December 19th in Colombia, a young boy stepped out of the car during the day to relieve himself by the roadside. The traffic jam made everything feel normal, but locals later whispered that this stretch of the Buga-Buenaventura Road carries a dark presence, a force that can strike without warning. As he turned to return, a lorry slammed into their vehicle, pushing it into another truck. His parents, Diego Fernando Suarez and Lina Marcela Diaz, were instantly killed, so while the boy somehow survived, untouched by the accident. Lena had been filming moments earlier, capturing laughter that now feels haunting in hindsight. Some say this road seems to choose who lives and who dies. So tell me, if you had to step outside on a road known for sudden tragedies, would you go or stay in the car, hoping nothing follows? During the day, a girl wandered alone in the jungle and came across something horrifying. Scattered human bones lying on the ground. Shocked and terrified, she began crying while recording everything on her camera. The sunlight filtered through the trees, but the peaceful forest only made the sight of the bones even more chilling.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I found, it was live streaming and then I found this, that's like the, I found this bone. And it looks like a hip bone of a human and it looks like it's been cut off. You can leave. And that looks like the bit that you put a leg into.
These remote areas are often called silent corridors, where travelers sometimes vanish without a trace. The forest seems alive, watching anyone who dares to enter. And the deeper you go, the more the silence feels deliberate, like the land itself is holding its secrets. As she moved cautiously, the jungle was quiet except for her sobs and the soft rustle of leaves. Every shadow seemed alive, and the sight of the bones made it clear. This place holds secrets most people would never want to uncover. Even in daylight, the forest felt dangerous and unpredictable. So tell me, if you were walking alone in the jungle and saw human bones, would you keep recording or drop the camera and run for your life? Late at night, the area was completely dark and silent. A man moved slowly, trying to be quiet, holding a metal spin in one hand and a camera in the other. His hand shook as he carefully spun the device. Suddenly, the camera caught a figure wrapped in white cloth, something that hadn't been there before, now moving silently alongside him. His breathing grew heavy, and the camera shook as fear took over. The quiet night felt heavy, as if the air itself had turned tense with terror. Every step he took seemed to echo in the darkness, but the figure stayed close, silent, and still. The clip ends, leaving the presence unexplained. So tell me, if you were alone in a dark, abandoned place and saw someone silently moving with you, would you keep filming or run away in fear? No, it was supposed to be a normal night, a routine neighborhood patrol. The streets were empty, and the only light came from a small flashlight cutting through the darkness. Everything felt calm, until his steps suddenly stopped. In the middle of a resident's garden, there was a white figure standing completely still. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. At first, he thought it was just a piece of cloth caught on a tree branch. That would make sense. But when he pointed the flashlight directly at it, the shape looked too perfect, too human. The outline wasn't random. It stood upright, almost as if it was watching him. The silence around it felt heavy, like the night itself was holding its breath. And then the most terrifying part happened. The figure seemed to shift slightly. Not much, just enough to make him question what he was seeing. There was no wind, no reason for it to move. So tell me, if you were standing there alone in the dark, would you walk closer to find out the truth or turn around and run? Two friends were exploring deep in the forest when they came across a strange, muddy pond that looked like a small lake. Curious, they started recording. Without hesitation, one of them jumped straight into the water. The pond was completely calm. No waves, no swirling. Yet the moment he hit the surface, he sank instantly, as if the water had swallowed him whole. It all happened in the blink of an eye. The other friend filmed in shock, barely able to comprehend what he was seeing. The clip lasted only a few seconds before cutting off, leaving the terrifying truth unknown. Nothing showed if he resurfaced. The silence around the pond made the moment feel even heavier, as if the forest itself was watching. By the end of the video, it's impossible to know what really happened beneath the water. So tell me, if you saw someone vanish like that in front of your eyes, would you risk jumping in or run for your life? A camper in the Appalachian mountains was spending the night in his tent when strange noises began to echo through the trees. Distant screams and heavy footsteps made him and his companion whisper nervously, trying to figure out what was nearby. The red glow inside the tent made everything feel even more tense and eerie.
All the time, as well as...
Turn off the light, turn off the light.
was weird. What if the odd something just walks next to us?
I got it.
He slowly peeks outside, unsure if what's out there is an animal or a person. The sounds keep coming, but nothing appears in the dark. To every rustle and crack of the forest seems alive, and the feeling of being watched grows stronger. The clip ends with the camper frozen in fear, the mysterious presence still unseen. It's a reminder of how the wilderness can turn ordinary noises into something terrifying. So tell me, if you were alone in the woods and heard those sounds, would you stay inside the tent or run into the night? A woman in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was filming the peaceful waterfall when something strange appeared for just a few seconds.
Essa queda d'água. Muita água. Muita força. Uhul! Ih, caraca! Tem uma coisa ali. Caraca, apareceu cara ali no meio da água.
In the rushing water, a humanoid figure seemed to rise briefly, with arms and legs longer than normal, before vanishing back under the flow. The sudden glimpse left her stunned, unsure if what she saw was real. Some viewers believe it could be a mysterious creature, while others argue it's just an optical illusion, a floating log, a rock, or a trick of the light on the water. Even experts say that reflections, shadows, and the shape of the current can sometimes create shapes that look like humans. But no one has been able to prove what really appeared in the video. The brief encounter, captured only for a few seconds, leaves more questions than answers. So tell me, if you saw a human-like figure appear and disappear in a waterfall, would you get closer to see it, or run as fast as you could? A woman in Texas accidentally recorded something strange one afternoon while filming the hills near her neighborhood. From a distance, a large figure could be seen standing on a ridge, moving up and down like it was doing some kind of exercise. At first, people thought it was just a tree shadow or a trick of the sunlight. When the footage was slowed down, the figure's shape looked clearly unusual, far taller than a normal person, with long strides and movements too steady to be just a shadow. Local beliefs say that hills and mountains are sometimes paths for guardian beings, rarely seen unless humans disturb their territory. Some say these beings appear near sunset, when the energy between humans and nature is weaker. What makes it even stranger is that no one has seen it in person. It only shows up on camera. Since the video went viral, some locals reported restless livestock and strange sounds from the hills at night. So tell me, if this isn't just a shadow, how long has something like this been living so close to people? The video was recorded late at night in the Alas Purwo area of Banyuwangi, a place locals believe is a spiritual crossing point. The area is far from public roads and has very little light. At first, the camera only captures thick smoke suddenly rising from the forest. The nearby campfire weakens, even though the wood is dry and the wind is calm. According to traditional Javanese belief, smoke moving against the wind can mean a gate between worlds is opening. Moments later, dark shadows begin forming behind the smoke. No clear face, just a shape slowly becoming more solid. Then the forest goes completely silent. No insects, no owls. Locals call this alas mati, when nature grows quiet, because a higher energy has entered.
Allah! Ya Allah! You see it? Get it! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! La hawla wa la quwwata.
Soon after, the smoke fades. The fire returns to normal, and the heavy feeling disappears. People say this wasn't just smoke, but the passing of a guardian spirit. If it was only natural smoke, why did the entire forest suddenly fall silent? In this clip, 3 friends had gone to the river to catch fish. Suddenly, they noticed a large wave forming in the distance and ran in panic to reach the riverbank. 2 of them managed to climb up just in time, but before the 3rd friend could get out, the wave crashed into him and dragged him into the water. The whole incident was recorded by a man standing on the opposite side of the river, and you can clearly hear the fear in his voice. People who live near the river, especially children, usually run as soon as they see this kind of wave. The current can change within seconds, strong enough to sweep away even an adult. There is no warning. One moment the water is calm, and the next moment, a deadly wave is right in front of you. So tell me, if you were standing near the river and the Bono wave suddenly appeared, would you stay and watch, or run to safety immediately? What started as a calm walk along the Blue River in New Zealand quickly turned into panic. A man from a local tribe suddenly appeared from the forest, surprising tourists who didn't expect anyone to be there. Shouts and confusion filled the air as people tried to react to the unexpected presence. The moment was captured on video and went viral, turning a peaceful tour into a memory marked by fear. The sudden appearance left everyone on edge, unsure of what might happen next. This incident also sparked online discussions about how tourism can clash with local lands and traditions. So tell me, if you were walking alone and someone suddenly appeared from the forest, would you stay calm or run? Now, drop a comment with the scariest thing that's ever happened to you outdoors. And if these clips genuinely creeped you out, hit like. Subscribe too, because your story might end up in the next compilation.